I'm going to mute them.
It's just this thing takes forever to go live. Are we live?
Yes, we are live.
We are live.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. So, what the hell are you doing?
I'm wearing my little bonnet. Do you like it? I look so cute. No, it's not. It's just a little baggy.
Oh, Jesus. Anyways, welcome to Cross Paths. And we have special guests tonight, October and Jaffa, Jeff. And we're going to talk about a kind of a serious topic tonight, and it's mental health awareness. Hi, Gypsy. Welcome.
Hi, Kendra.
And the first thing, before I bring on our guests, I want to, and I'll do this a few times through. I want to draw your attention down to the little ticker that's going across the bottom. Once we get past the hashtags, you'll see the samhsa.gov number. You can call them and they will refer to you to a therapist that's close to you. And of course, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you feel like you really need help right away, call that number. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that, and we'll talk about that as the night goes on. So anyways, let me bring on my guests. October and Jaffa. I like Jaffa. Jaffa's the new name. I love it.
Hi.
So welcome.
Hello, guys.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Hi, Gypsy.
Hello. Yeah, I gotta pop into the YouTube on my phone because sometimes the comments are
a little delayed.
A lot delayed on this thing.
While you're doing that, I'm just gonna quickly play our little video. Here it is.
Oh, we gotta play the video. Okay, the video.
1 second, guys.
All right. Oh, people. Hello, Auntie Mama. Hello, Anna. Hello, Katie. Welcome.
October.
Wait a minute. That's cheating. You're already here. Anyways, welcome. So we're talking a little bit about mental health. Well, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And October and I decided we're going to do a video on this and talk about it. Because mental health awareness is something that's kind of dear to me. I have a few afflictions of my own as I sit here and wear them as a badge of honor. In case you can't notice that I just can't sit still. I've had ADHD all my life as a child, and I have it in my adult life. So I'm like the fidget spinner king at work, and it is what it is. I'd also suffer from anxiety, depression to an extent, and OCD. And I'm sure there's some other ones I'm not mentioning, but we'll leave it there. So it is something that's really something that it's kind of a dear subject to me because obviously I struggle with it. So when October and I were talking about doing this live, I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. So October, tell me why, what motivated you to want to do this?
Because I honestly think that right now is a good time that you need to be talking about mental health because of the quarantine. And I honestly think when this is all said and done, you're going to realize that the people that have had mental health issues going into this are going to be the ones that are suffering more coming out of it. This is hitting them hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, I be honest, I can feel it. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah.
I've known and I've dealt with my issues on my own. You know, here and there I would go to doctors and then not, and you know, but for the most part, I've maintained a good status quo, kind of a little bit of self-medicating with cannabis, and talking with my medical doctor about some of this stuff. But being in quarantine has kind of turned that up from 10 to 100, and it's tough to cope. It's tough. I've had a few days where the depression hit me. Other days the anxiety really hits me, and I've always got the ADHD thing. But it's really tough with this quarantine going on. And another thing is and I mention that because I have my first, I'm going back to see my therapist, and I have, get down. Hold on, my cat's being a pain. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going back to see my therapist on this Monday. So doing it via telemedicine, but it's important to know when it's time to seek out help. You know?
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
It is 100%. It's a scary thing right now, and people are having a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I make sure, like, my therapist says to me every time I do my video with him, he's like, you got to be working your workbook. You got to be doing your workbook, because it's hard. It's because I will have a tendency where I will get myself into a funk where, because I've been stuck in the house, I'll get comfortable there, and that's where I'll stay. So, like, he'll say to me, you know, we got to go out for a ride. He's like, you got to get out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will get myself into a groove where I'll just stay there.
Wow. See, I can't even get into a groove. I feel more and more like the walls are closing in on me. And like every day I try to go out and take a walk. But it's almost like and it's almost like an oppression. It's really, yeah. I mean, I feel it in a different way. I feel it in a different way as I can't even settle into that funk.
Yeah, see, I will get into it, and I will stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. So you have this workbook. It's funny now because you mentioned the workbook. And I wanna, because like I'm curious what I'm gonna face when I start working with my therapist on Monday. I wonder if I'm gonna get something similar. So tell us a little bit about that.
Can you say it?
Oh yeah. Here, I know you don't like it, but I'm gonna make you beg.
Okay.
DBT skills training. Oh wow.
What is DBT?
Dialectical behavioral therapy.
Oh, okay.
And so what's if you were to describe what's in the book, what is in there?
It actually teaches you, like, they also have these things, which is much easier for you.
Oh, it's like a card.
Yep. It's like, they're like cards. Yep.
Wow.
And it like breaks down the workbook into little cards, and it will like tell you what, so what dialectics does is, it helps you change your negative habits into positive ones. So it does all things. It breaks it down into states of mind. So the paper that I put up in Cross Paths,
yeah,
it does your emotion mind, reason mind, wise mind. You want to be in wise mind. You want to be in that middle. You want to be in that middle path. You don't want to. You want to be sitting to the left or to the right. You want to be. I wish I could do that. You can't do that unless you are an actual psychologist.
EFT?
I looked into it. Yeah, that's that tap therapy. They tap on certain parts of your body and say positive affirmations.
Oh.
And it's almost like they're trying to get you to like they'll like tap and say, like this happened, to you when you were a child and it's not your fault. So you'll say this happened to me and it wasn't my fault. So they try to get you out of those habits that are stuck in your head.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I actually looked into it because I wanted to do it, but because it's a good thing to do with Reiki, but you have to be a psychologist to do it.
Auntie Mama says I use music and crafts to calm down for my anxiety and depression.
Yep.
The problem is when my anxiety is acting up, if sometimes my ADHD prevents me from doing that. Though music is a great therapy for me. I will lose myself in music. And it tends to be part of my self-medication routine. So if I'm having an anxious or a depressing day, I will, partake in a little bit of cannabis, and I will put my headphones on and just kind of lose myself into a couple of my favorite playlists. Meditation is another thing that is very helpful for me to kind of, especially with the anxiety.
Do you know breath work is great for your anxiety?
Really?
Because if you actually sit and pay attention when you're having a panic attack, it's because you're having a series of short breaths. So you're going, that's what's bringing on your anxiety. So you're breathing from your chest.
Yep.
If you stop yourself and just inhale and go down into your belly with it, and then exhale really strong. If you do that 4 or 5 times, it will bring your anxiety down.
Kind of like, all right, that makes
You're gonna
sense.
do really deep breaths and bring it all the way down into your belly.
That really makes sense.
Because when you do those short breaths, that's what makes you have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Because you start doing those repetitive short breaths.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit. Let's lead in with ADHD, because that's one of my biggest ones that I struggle with. And I want to go over, I found this online. I don't know what the site was, but it basically, there's 3 branches, I guess, of ADHD. ADHD symptoms of inattention. The second one is ADHD symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity. And then there's ADHD for both. And I want to read, it has like a list of some of these symptoms. And I want to read down the list. So I'm going to start with the inattention column. So these are signs of that. Makes careless mistakes, lacks attention to detail, has difficulty sustaining attention, exhibits poor listening skills, fails to follow through on tasks and instructions, displays poor organization, avoids tasks requiring sustained effort, and loses things. So out of that list, there's a couple in there that are in there.
I have quite a few of those.
Yeah, sometimes I lack attention to detail. Sometimes sustaining attention.
Why don't you read all of them?
I just did.
Oh, sorry.
Listening skills I'm pretty good at.
Following through, not so much. Organization.
Follow through.
Yeah, organization. I'm awful with organization. I mean, I'm awful. I avoid tasks and I lose things all the time. Like if I literally have a bowl now on my desk where I put my keys because I swear they walk away. And yeah, they move. Do you want to touch on any of those?
I lose things all the time. Oh my God. I can't remember where I put things. Like I said to him the other day, like I said to him, like, I'm like, my medication is not working. I'm like, look at this house. I said, I find that I'll go to one thing and then something else will catch my eye, and that's what I go to. So now I got all these other things going on, and I think being in the house is just it's compounding the problem. And it's just, I can't get anything. You would think a lot of people are like, oh, wow, I got my house really organized. My house is worse. I'm not functioning well like this.
That's why I hate it when she cleans my desk.
I'm the same way. I'm like,
Because I'll clean it and I'll put stuff someplace and then I can't remember where I put it. And they'll be like, where is this? And I'm like, I don't know.
I do it all the time. What were you going to say?
oh, hold on. I was just saying hi to Jess. I'm the same way. Like, I am so organized, but like, I get to the point where I like literally want to clean up all your stuff because it's just a complete mess.
Yeah, he's yapping. He's nice and organized, but yeah. And I have, and of course, the anxiety of that. I'm like, no, don't touch it. You're going to lose it on me. You're going to throw my stuff because the anxiety
looking at
kicks
this
in.
mess that you have right here is giving me a panic.
Oh,
I used to do, it used to drive him crazy. I used to do, when I was the one that took care of the bills, he takes care of them now. But when I took care of them, he would be like, you have all these papers all over the place that just have these numbers on them, and I don't know what they mean, what's going on, what is this? He's like, there's just random numbers all over the place. And I'm like, they're not random. They mean something to me. I know it looks like a mess to you, but I know what it is. Leave it alone.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Neat confuses me. Like, this is a mess over here, but I can find everything I want. All right. So the next list.
Put her on timeout.
Oh, hey. Let's see. Jess says, hey, we are just shooting out.
No, are we?
Are we just shooting out our mental status? No, we're going to talk about some stuff. We're talking about symptoms now, but we're going to talk about anything. So if you have any questions, if anybody has any questions, please type them in all caps. That way I'll see them. So the next batch, so ADHD symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity. So this is the other side. My mouth. Fidgets with or taps hands and feet or squirms in the seat. Well, we all know I do that all the time. Leaves seat in situation when remaining seated is expected. Sometimes. Experiences feelings of restlessness all the time. Difficulty engaging in quiet, leisurely activities. That's me. Is on the go, acting as if driven by a motor. Yeah. How about you, October?
I think all but the last one, only because I think some of my other diagnoses prevent me from doing some stuff. They get me into a different headspace.
Makes sense. So ADHD. So here's the thing that's funny is that most people associate it with kids, and I read a statistic that 60% of children with ADHD go on to have some forms of it in the in their adult lives. Please put that. Let me see. Hold on, I got a comment. Hey, please put that into CrossPaths Facebook group if you could. Put what in CrossPaths?
I'm thinking the ADHD stuff, maybe.
I'll definitely post some of the stuff in there. Sure. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely post that in there. Along with the numbers. Again, I want to refer folks down to the numbers you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen. The first number, SAM, Sam Shaw, whatever, you can call that number and they will refer you to a local therapist. And of course, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you're feeling like you need immediate help, reach out. That's the important thing. I see the ADHD test. Yes, I will either scan it in and put it on the Facebook page. Absolutely. Let's see. I'm going to take a quick look through the comments. Let's see. So Emmy says, I'm only recently figuring out that I probably had some form of ADHD for years. But when I was younger, I compensated better. So with
I didn't get diagnosed till I was in my 40s, till what, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Before I go into mine, because mine's more complicated because I had it as a kid, tell me about being diagnosed, like your story about being diagnosed with ADHD later on in life. Like, how did that come about?
I have been diagnosed my whole life, like with anxiety and depression is what they kept treating. Anxiety, depression. When I finally had my my suicide attempt and I was hospitalized, I ended up getting better, a better psychiatrist and a therapist. And they kind of they pulled stuff. Like when I tell you people, I have a laundry list of diagnosis. Like I'm a hot mess. Like when I was writing all this stuff down for this, I was like, oh my God. I'm afraid to live with myself. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, I have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's not like I didn't know all of them. I just never written all of them down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and now I'm like, it kind of explains why I sucked at school. I can tell you I sucked at school. I had no help. Look, I have ADHD and dyslexia. And to not get diagnosed, pretty much, till 2 years later, till 2 years ago, that's a hard thing to, what did she say?
I clicked on that one. Let me see. I still love you, ADHD peeps, though your figure distracts me. Well, here's the thing. Finish what you were saying, October, because I'm going to get into that in a little bit with my moving around a lot. So, getting a better therapist led to getting the right diagnosis. And you mentioned, because we were having this conversation when I was writing stuff down, and I kind of shocked myself. In my mind, I put them all in separate buckets. Like I'm having an ADHD day. I'm having, I never realized how many. When you include the OCD and stuff like that. So when you have ADHD, this is how it feels inside me. Because a lot of people have said that. It's like, oh my God, you're fidgeting around, drives me crazy. I could sit here and try to sit still, and it's almost like a ticking bomb. If I don't move, I feel literally like I'm gonna explode. It's almost like an energy buildup. Like my body has this buildup of energy, and I have to release it somehow.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I don't mean to drive people crazy, but I drive people crazy.
I talk excessively. That's my big. I talk with my hand a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I talk excessively, and we have a rule in my house, and I will say it. If they know it. If I'm talking too much, tell me to shut up. Then I know. Just tell me to shut up. I get it. Then I know I'm talking too much.
Yeah. Yep.
I shut it off.
Yeah, I tend to talk a lot too. That's an issue I sometimes have had at work in meetings where it's like I never shut up. I never let any other people have a word in edgewise, and I got to be really careful of that. But my whole story, I was the classic kid with ADHD. Did terrible in school. Tried the medications. I was on Ritalin for a while.
My parents had me on Ritalin as a kid too. Because I had trouble focusing. I was horrible at tests because I couldn't remember anything because I just had no attention span.
I'll tell you what, Ritalin made me like a zombie. And honestly, I have gaps in my memory from the times when I was not I remember back then, but a lot of stuff I learned during that time when I was on Ritalin, I didn't retain. Like I'm awful with times tables because I was taking Ritalin during that time. So without a calculator, I'm dumb as a post. Very interesting.
That's why I didn't let them put me on Ritalin.
Mhm.
But little did I know what Adderall was, or I wouldn't have been on that either. But
Yeah, I tried that and I thought I was going to die
Mm.
because now I can't even drink caffeinated coffee or I got heart palpitations. Imagine what Adderall will do to me.
oh, let me tell you.
Mhm.
Actually, right now, I can tell you, I feel like the Adderall's not doing anything.
Okay. Jezebel says, my sister has OCD and ADHD too. And it's just compulsive action for me to put my hand on her back when she is fidgeting up a storm. Because the touch makes her realize, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
Because it is. It's just, because honestly, one of the few times I can stay still is kind of when we do our cuddle thing.
See,
Or when he's like
blanket.
the whole time, and I like literally go like that to like just kind of calm him down, keep him from moving.
I thought about trying the weighted blanket, but I get restless legs. A weighted blanket is going to drive me up a wall. I get restless. I have restless leg syndrome at night.
No,
That would drive me. Woo!
Yep, I do too.
Sometimes I can't have absolutely anything on my legs.
I feel that if I had a weighted blanket on me, I'd kind of feel like claustrophobic.
They actually say it's very soothing. They say it's really, really good for anxiety.
I don't know. I don't like blanket on me to begin with. So
I actually have to be covered, but there are points where I got to have my legs uncovered.
Any comment? Are you watching the comments?
Yeah, and there's lots of comments actually.
Oh.
For example, Melissa just said,
I was born with fetal alcohol syndrome, so I have a host of disabilities, including most likely ADHD, but they've not tested me for it because it's part of the fetal alcohol syndrome. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Ask them to, though.
Yeah.
Because it took me a long time because they did not. I was, 44, 45 before I got diagnosed with it.
yeah.
Wow. So what do they do? Now, obviously, I've been tested as a kid, and I had ADHD, and you just have to look at me and know that I have ADHD. But I don't remember the tests. What do they do when they test you for ADHD?
I had a 3-day long test. Took me 3 days, 3 freaking appointments. And they do everything from you have to focus on different shapes with different colors and you got to tell what they are. And like they have rows and rows and rows of them. And then they have like just rows of different shapes and you got to be able to pay attention and remember what row you're in and what one you're on. And it's torture.
I remember that.
Oh my God. And you can't be medicated when you're doing it, obviously.
I remember
You
that.
can't have any of your medication. So now not only are you going like through the withdrawal and not being on the medication, but you're also trying to do the it was a long week for me.
Oh my God. I hope they don't make me go through that shit again.
I think I even had to go. I had my last appointment. I think I having to go back again later that day. She's like, I'm still not done. She's like, I gotta bring you back. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like,
and what's the purpose of the test? That it tests if you can focus and.
Technically, you have to have that test done. I have to have it done. So, like, if God forbid I ever change psychiatrist, I have to have proof I have ADHD in order for them to keep prescribing Ritalin to me.
Ah.
That's all it's for.
Okay.
That's all it is basically for. Because she said to me, because I was like, I said to the two of them, my psychiatrist and my psychologist, I'm like, don't ask me to ever do that again. I said, because I will refuse. I'm like, I'm done. That was horrible. I'm done. I'm like, I'm not doing it again.
Interesting.
And she said, I can just throw it out the window and not do anything with it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So Auntie Mama says, my nephew has ADHD and he is amazing at math, but flunks at English and reading comprehension. He is a level above his peers at school. Even now with online school, he's 9 and can do He's 9.
Wow, and you can do 7th grade math.
Yeah.
I'm really good at math, and that's my problem, is reading comprehension in English. Well, I shouldn't, science I wasn't too good at either, but
Yeah, I was good at
was
math.
my thing.
Yeah, I was good at math. No, I was terrible at math. I was terrible at everything in school. I had one verbal test with a third party. That's it. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, mine was like,
I do now thinking back, remember doing that test. It was almost like a school test. You're going through the pages of shit. Yeah, I think I remember that.
she kept taking these books out and writing this stuff down and scores, and I'm like trying to look at them like, is this good or bad? And I'm like, don't do that. I mean, I have anxiety too, and I'm like, I had all kinds of crystals in my pockets, and I'm like,
Yes, that's the thing is when I was diagnosed with ADHD, I don't remember as a kid having anxiety. I was like the opposite. Like shit just didn't get to me when I was in school as a kid. It was later on in life when I kind of developed the anxiety and the OCD and that other shit came later. This says, yeah, in high school, my teachers at specializing in teaching people with visual impairments that I should be tested because I couldn't sit still or focus. I had to be up walking around. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I can't even if I'm sitting in my work chair, you know, if you like the cubicle chairs, you click the lever and the thing just goes like this. This is what I do half the day. People must walk by my cubicle, think I'm just a complete mental case.
yeah.
Which I hate to use that word, but it's really kind of like how I perceive myself. I'm like, but I can't help it.
Yeah, see, like Gypsy says she was just the opposite. I think my problem though is with the reading and comprehension. I'm dyslexic and I was never treated for it.
Yeah, that definitely will definitely affect that. Absolutely.
So that made me struggle.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Now that I never dealt with that. Like you know, my eyes are a little bit crooked, but I have good vision. So I've never had any kind of visual issues.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Well, you keep moving them, you dummy.
I can tell you, like not getting diagnosed and like just kind of like sliding along, it like screwed me up for school. Like I dropped out in 9th grade because I just got tired and I couldn't do it anymore. I was just like, I'm done. Just let me go to work. And
yeah, I struggled through school. And here's what's funny. I struggled through school. Oh, I am so shocked you say that, Dave, because you are in IT, which means sitting and paying attention all day. No, not really. So here's the thing with IT. In any given day, so IT is a very varied job. You know, IT means, you know, I can be working a desktop issue with one ticket. The next ticket could be, you know, some VMware stuff, and then you bounce into network stuff. So the thing is, as long as I keep that pie moving, I'm very effective. I do really well in my job, you know, because if I had to do something like data entry, and I've tried this, I can't do it. I literally, everything, I get tunnel vision, everything gets blurry, and the brain just says no. So so yeah, IT tends to be varied enough that I don't have the focus issue per se.
right.
You know? So Melissa says, I'm dyslexic too, and I know it, but they tested me in college and told me I was borderline severe dyslexic. Yet in high school, I failed English three times in a row. Yeah, I mean that's all tied together.
Yeah.
Right? That's all tied together. Yeah, let's go quick. quick look through. All right, no other comments. So that entry sounds like my dream job. Oh,
Well, she says she loves chess too. So, man, I'll give you credit there because I cringe at it. The sound of a test, I cringe.
yeah.
Me too.
I got
So I want to remind people watching down at the ticker, there's 2 phone numbers. One is SAMHSA. They will refer you to someone in your area that can help for non-emergency, and the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you feel like you need help, immediately, just give them a call. I just want to make sure that, and I think I'll post those on the Facebook group. So now, moving on from do you have anything else that you want to talk about with ADHD? Let's see. Okay, Dave, I got it wrong because in graphic design, I was sitting using Photoshop and whatever for 14 hours in a stretch. Oh yeah, I couldn't do that. Do we have anything else you want to add for ADHD?
I don't think so. I think we.
All right, good.
covered it.
So moving on to anxiety. Anxiety is a tough one.
Do you have
Yeah.
on like what are the symptoms of anxiety?
I do. I just gotta pull it up. Oops. Oh, I closed it. So all right, so I'll read a little bit. What are the symptoms of anxiety? Anxiety manifests itself in many ways and in any aspect. The most common symptoms you'll notice are mental and physical symptoms of anxiety. But there are also emotional symptoms that need to be looked at. By breaking down each of the mental, physical, and emotional symptoms, we get a better understanding of anxiety. And when someone is having an anxiety attack, you are going to notice several physical symptoms. These include, but are not limited to, headaches, neck pain, numbness in hands and feet, burning sensation, a nervous stomach, clammy, shaky hands, sweating, shortness of breath. Some psychological symptoms now of anxiety, brain fog, unable to stick to one thought, hearing a humming or buzzing noise, depersonalization, disorientation, memory loss. Emotional symptoms are part of anxieties. These symptoms may not be as easy to see as others, but if you look closely, you can find at least 1 or 2 during an anxiety attack, and that's irritability, aggression, sense of impending doom, mood swings, going numb, and fatigue. Any thoughts on those?
Oh my God, I can't even tell you how many of those I have.
There's some new ones on here I didn't even realize.
I've had severe anxiety like my whole life. Like it's hereditary. My mother was horrible. My mother was just like, my mother was awful.
Yeah.
But-
My family had it too, but I didn't get it until later on.
I've always had it. Always had it.
Nervous stomach, clammy, sweating.
Yep, I have an ulcer from it. Like I legit always thought it was a joke when they would say, you're going to worry so much and give yourself an ulcer. I thought that was just like, something that your parents said to you for you to knock it off. But no, it's true. I worried myself into an ulcer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I worried myself into an ulcer.
And Opal says, I have most of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anxiety, God, tons and tons of anxiety is a bad thing.
Do you ever hear the humming noise?
I do.
I didn't realize what that was until I just looked at and just read this.
Like I was telling you yesterday, my anxiety would get so bad, my whole left side of my body would shake.
Okay.
Like you would think I was like having a seizure or something. And it's just, he would have to nail my arm down just to get it to stop because I couldn't get it to stop.
Wow. Interesting. Mine came later in life. And the good thing with my anxiety, and I don't know if this is normal with anxiety with everyone, it's not constant. It comes in waves.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if there are triggers or what. And the same thing with my depression, and we'll get to depression a little in a sec. But yeah, like, and maybe that's just the attacks. I mean, I'm always high strung and always nervous about things, especially with my OCD. But the anxiety, I have good days and bad days with that. I don't know if that's normal.
I think so, because you can have days where it's not so bad, but then you have days where something happens and it just sets it off and it's hard to control it.
Yeah, and that
Like the other day when you kind of like lashed out and then
I
kind of cried.
poor Lucian. Yeah.
Yeah, he lashed out because like he opened the thing to the fridge, the door, and he spilt over my drink onto the floor and it just kind of like gushed out. And I like burst out laughing because I found it funny, and he like snapped at me because he was like, "That's not funny. Today is just going horrible. Everything's just wrong today. Why are you laughing at me?" I'm like, "I'm just kidding."
Yeah, because that's all it takes is that one little thing, and it just. But my anxiety is like, my anxiety never goes away. My anxiety is always there. Sometimes, if certain events happen, it will. But my anxiety then ties into my PTSD too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, yeah, that's so Gypsy says my anxiety varies in level, but it's always there. Yeah, that's a way of describing it. Yeah.
Some days it's more controllable than others.
Yes. Yes. That makes sense. So let's see. So reasons for anxiety. So here's the thing. So,
too.
So I don't know if I'm not going to read this whole thing about reasons for anxiety, but are your anxiety attacks, and like, I know we mentioned like, that damn shake pissed me off, but I had already woke up and like I had a little bit of a depression moment and felt a little anxious after that. So that wasn't a trigger. I just sometimes lash, and I don't lash out at.
You do.
No, I don't.
do.
No, I do
You
not.
do.
I lashed out at the drink. I wanted to kill that drink. But
You lashed out at me for laughing.
you won't laugh at me.
Admit it. It's okay.
So, do you feel that your anxiety attacks are triggered by incidents,
No.
or sometimes it just happens and you can't put a finger on it?
Oh yeah, sometimes they happen out of the blue. Sometimes I can wake up and I'll be crying and I'll say to him, my anxiety is like through the roof today and I don't know why.
Interesting.
Now, and I'm like, nothing. I don't know why, but I'm a mess right now.
Interesting. Because that is like how my depression works. Like there are days when I just feel like crying.
And you know what? It's a good thing. Just do it. My therapist says, if that's let it out. Just let it out and feel that emotion. Just let it out, but don't stay in it. Don't make a home in it. Let it happen and let it go.
Yeah. I probably gotta, because I try to hold it back. Interesting. Okay. Which one? Yeah, I'll let you drive the comments. So anxiety. So I don't know if I'm ready to move on to depression, because now you got me thinking.
Yeah, because it's a good thing we're moving right into depression, because Opal was just talking about her stress with YouTube. That doesn't help. She also has depression.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. I am more apt with my depression. I am more apt to have a depression moment and not be able to point my finger at it than to be cried for something that's stressing me out. Like if YouTube starts stressing me out, I just look, I walk away. And I don't get depressed over it. And that's just me. But the other morning I woke up and I'm sitting there and I logged in my computer for work and he's still snoring away on the bed. And I just felt like crying.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm tearing and I just am like, what the fuck am I crying for?
You just got to let it out. You just sometimes you'll feel better once you let it flow out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need that moment to get over it.
I tend to hold it back. Maybe I should.
Can I tell you? You have no idea what mood swings are like unless you live in my house with me because.
Oh, hell, I know.
Do I have mood swings? I don't think.
Not really mood swings, no.
Yeah, I don't have that. That's good.
But I'll sum it up right now. And this is why I have really bad mood swings. And I think that's why my anxiety gets so bad. This in a nutshell, I'm going to put it all out to you. And this is like the first time I've ever actually told people I'm not close to all my diagnosis. So be nice to me. I have ADHD with dyslexia. I have complex PTSD. I have borderline personality disorder, anxiety, depression. I have body dysmorphic disorder and impulsive compulsive. There you go. OCD. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a bigger list than me, and I'll go through.
You have a lot going on, and when you have borderline personality disorder, you have trouble regulating your emotions. Your emotions, like something would take this much for you to get irritated. It takes this much for me, and when it happens with me, it gets blown up, like it explodes. Like my emotions, I can't control them.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that, because that sounds familiar. That sounds like the shake moment. Oh, man.
I can tell you, I listed are you ready? Not to get off of it, but for borderline personality, some of the traits, some of the signs are fear of abandonment. And I think I get that from my son's father, but he was really abusive to me. That man, like, he fucked me up. He was physical, mental, verbal, you name it, he did it to me, and it scared me. I've told you the story. He plotted my murder and then took me and showed me where he was going to bury my body. He screwed me up.
Wow.
Unstable relationships. I got that. Impulsive self-destructive behaviors, self-harm, extreme emotional swings, chronic feeling of emptiness, and explosive anger. Are just some of them.
I have some of those.
Yeah, because there's like 9 traits altogether, and I nail down all 9 traits.
The only thing is, so here's the thing with trouble maintaining relationships. Our relationship is, we do really good. We have a great relationship. I don't have a whole lot of friends. Interesting. So it's got me thinking. I definitely have explosive.
We don't have that many friends because we barely get out the house.
Well, COVID-19 is new.
Oh, Gypsy, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Like, she's like my soul partner. Holy crap. Like, she's almost got the same list and she's gone through the same stuff I've gone through.
Yeah, so
mine was Jason. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I have OCD. Obviously, I have depression, anxiety, ADHD.
Oh, see? Borderline personality disorder. I'm not alone. And do you know only 1% of the population will be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder?
Interesting.
And out of that 1%, 8 to 10% will actually commit suicide. I was just lucky enough that I didn't actually die.
Yeah.
But think about it. I did it in the most morbid way you could probably think of anybody that would think about killing themselves. I did it in the most morbid way. I mean, trying to starve yourself is just like a crazy ass way to do it. It is and why would you do it that way?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Is it like, was it a con? So So was it so when because I also had a suicide attempt, but I did the traditional grab the bottle of pills and gulp them down. And of course I don't remember I was 18, and I downed a whole bottle of Tylenol. Luckily, my mother saved my life, and as I say, I did my 2 weeks in the hospital, the mental health ward, but like it was a conscious decision. It was like I can't stand this anymore type of decision, kind of. Like with yours, it sounds like it was more subconscious, or were you consciously saying, I'm going to stop myself?
I can honestly say I don't remember actually making the conscious decision of doing it. I do know that now to this, I feel horrible because I put my husband and son through hell for 3 weeks. Like legit slowly, my body, like when we finally went to the hospital, when I finally allowed him to take me, the doctor said 2 more hours and I would have been gone. My body had already started to expel gases. When you pass away, your body expels gases. My body was already doing that. My kidneys had shut down. My heart was just about ready to shut down. They did 21 EKGs on me in 3 hours.
Wow.
And I don't know where in my head it came from. I don't know if it was like the one thing that I knew nobody else could control, because at that point I had already tried taking too many pills before, so he wasn't letting me have access to the pills. Yeah. So I didn't have anything because I had already looked up. Like I went for the big ones. Because I was taking blood pressure pills at that point. I went for how many of those did I need to take, because I knew if you took enough, it was going to make your heart stop. So I nailed it like right down. I was like, this is going to be, and I don't know where I came up with starving myself, but I lost 33 pounds in 3 weeks.
Wow.
The best diet plan.
No.
I just, like I said, I just gobbled down a bottle of Tylenol, which later on the doctor says probably wouldn't really kill you. So yeah, I chose poorly.
Yeah, it was so bad. Like when they asked me to stick my tongue out, he said my tongue was so dehydrated, it was all wrinkled and cracked. He's like, I don't know how I didn't see it. They put 2 IVs, one in each arm, and they said to me, I got to pump fluid into you so fast you're gonna feel it.
Wow. Gypsy says, I made the conscious decision and took, I don't know what Decatus was, which was, serious decongestant. I took 20. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I tell you, well, thank God we're all here. Well, thank gods and goddesses and all that. Because I'll tell you, and Gypsy says, I was unconscious for days, woke up in the hospital. Wow.
I miraculously, for somehow, and they don't know how, they have no clue how it even happened, because I walked in there. I mean, obviously with his help, like my motor skills were gone. He said I could barely talk. I couldn't walk up and down the stairs by myself. I would fall. I mean, I couldn't figure out even how to turn a light on. I was like,
couldn't use her cell phone.
Yeah.
It was.
That's big for her.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know. This is hard for people to talk about.
It is. It is a tough thing. Yeah, because
what does BBS stand for?
I don't know. I'll be back.
Be back soon.
Yeah. So like I want to say if my anxiety and depression, so when I attempted to when I had my suicide attempt, obviously my mom was the one that found me, and basically she saved my life, and not just because getting me to hospital after I ate the Tylenol, because like I said, the Tylenol probably wouldn't have killed me, maybe not, but I would have tried something else. But getting me the help that I needed was really important, because even at that time, when you're 18, I was dealing with, being 18-year-old and being gay and coming out of the closet, and which was harder back then. Gays today don't understand what it's like coming out, in the 80s and 90s. It was, being gay wasn't fashionable like it is today. So, there was just so much going on. And then when my mom passed away, I think really my anxiety, I think that's kind of when the anxiety started kicking in.
I can imagine.
And, because it was a really tough part in my life. And there's a whole story around that I'm not going to put out there. But October, next time we're together, I'll tell you all about that.
Okay.
Fun times. Yeah, like Gypsy says, much harder back then. It was, wow, hard, but at least we made it. That's right. That's where we're thankful. It's like we made it through. And Anna says, my daughter failed, thankfully, and it was Tylenol. It was Tylenol, the pills she took. Did lifelong damage to her liver.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was lucky in that regard. As the Tylenol, I didn't get no damage. Because they did pump my stomach, which was no fun. But
I must say, I mean, mine only happened 2.5 years ago. But if you would have met me 3 years ago to now, I'm a completely different person, and I think I'm better for it. I am totally different. Like you see all my list of things, but I'm in a much better headspace. Like I still have things I got to work on, but you know what? I'm in a much better headplace where I can now recognize sometimes when I do what I do, but I don't recognize it till after I do it. But I'm working on how to recognizing it and catching it before I do it. But I'm in a much better place.
Yeah.
It got me there.
I mean, you're an impressive person. I mean, you're my Reiki master. And that's a huge, being a Reiki master and is a huge thing in and of itself. So absolutely, I mean, I didn't know you back then, but it's what you are today, which is awesome. But yeah, I don't even know, because like I think aside from the anxiety and depression, I think as a kid I was much more easygoing. Now I get a little uptight sometimes, but that's going to be the anxiety, and it's weird. And so one thing I wanted to also touch into, and it's something that really bugs me, is the stigma around mental illness.
Yes.
And it's that's something that really bugs me, and I think it holds and it stops people from seeking the help that they need. So it's such a sad thing, because there are people that don't seek the help that they need because of the stigma, and ends up leading to something much worse for them. And and it's something that really, really bugs me.
I mean, still to this day, my family, they don't agree with my diagnosis. They think that they just did it to put me on medication. Yep. They don't believe it.
Yeah, that's terrible. And that's the stigma. And the thing is, it's like, you've got to walk in these shoes. Let's see. You good people, thank you for the conversation. I have to jump off this. Oh, okay. Thanks for stopping by, Emmy.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. Zoom meeting. I had one of those today.
Really?
And Gypsy says, that's wonderful, October. I was 17 and got no help for years, diagnosed with PTSD in 1992. Yeah, that's really cool. Really, not really cool, but just getting the help. When someone gets the help that they need and become a better person for it is what I mean by really cool. I've met Gypsy, and she's another good friend of mine. She's my bus buddy. Bus buddy. We all know what that means.
We have so much in common.
Yeah.
Me and Gypsy, like she said, her family does the same thing. They roll their eyes. That's what they do. They act, but the funny thing is they act like I'm crazy. So but you don't believe the diagnosis.
Yeah. Well, my family does too. I mean, I'm not even that close with my family. That's a whole other story. There are members of my family I haven't talked to, and I've told you a little bit about it in over 10 years, because everything's a joke and everything's, you're trying to get attention, or, you're doing this, to get out of something, or there's some ulterior motive. No, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's crazy. And it drives me nuts.
I feel you, Opal, because let me tell you, I think my PTSD came from my son's father being so abusive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm granted, I have, like, if you kicked the can as many times as I've had shit happen to me in my life, my can would be really, really dented. It'd be like, I've had it like I've been molested like twice by 2 different people. I'm like, I've done,
Yeah.
I've lost a child, and
I know.
I've had shit.
Just because I know that I'm just hearing everyone saying that they've been molested, and wait, sorry, I just read something in the chat. Hold on. What was it? Oh, and abuse and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering, because I know a lot of the time people tend to still cling on to that, and I'm just wondering, like, how do you suggest getting people to kind of rise above all that happened to them, and like how to kind of push through all that?
Seriously, therapy. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not saying you have to go on medication by no means, because if you go to a therapist, they don't. Psychiatrists do, therapists don't. But therapy is like the best thing, because you get that biased help. You get that person that's not on this side of the fence or that side of the fence, because they're there just to hear, and they're there for your highest good. So they're there. Like my therapist, let me tell you, my therapist is like my lifeline. I love the guy, and he's helped me through a lot. And you got to make sure you find a good therapist. Like, don't be afraid to interview that therapist, because you got to have a good therapist. Make sure. I had some shitty therapists, and thank God I have a good one now. But therapy is a big thing for me. Like, therapy has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Like that therapy book, like, even though, and I'll tell you, people, like, that's how bad I suck at follow through with ADHD. I've been doing this therapy book for 2 years, people, and I'm only on chapter 3. I have terrible follow through. That's why he says to me every day, do your workbook.
Yeah, sounds like me.
Yeah, but I've learned a lot from that workbook just from doing therapy.
Interesting. That's funny. And I love your can analogy, because I've never applied that to myself. And I've thought about some of the shitty events in my life between loss and coming out of the closet as gay, during probably one of the worst times. Having, being gay bashed is something that I've never really talked about or, attempted.
Oh, she's back.
What's that?
Marge came back.
Hey, hi, Marge. Welcome back. But that's also almost dying in the, or I don't say almost dying. There was I think I've told the story of the station nightclub fire, how I was supposed to be there that night, and this messed me up. And this is something that still causes anxiety for me today. Like whenever I go in a building, I'm looking at exit signs and how to get out, because if one person didn't call me this particular night, I would have been there. And and it's like facing one's mortality. Now, I know I had like my suicide attempt back, but it's a different thing when you're like, I don't want to say choosing to end your life, but like when suicide has a different set of things that are going to mark you for life. But when you're thinking to yourself that I was this close to dying, a horrible death, it kind of really, I can't explain how the way it makes you feel. Like when you look back at your experience when you were this close to dying, what thoughts come to mind? Like the thoughts that come to my mind are like, it's anxiety. It's like, oh my God, I could almost not be here. And it's kind of one of my triggers.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Gypsy nailed it. Survivor's guilt.
Well, I have that too, because I lost 3 coworkers and friends as a result. So, quick synopsis of the story: 5 coworkers who are good friends. Who 3 of them were really good friends of mine, invited me to go there because they actually knew the band.
Now we've only in that bar a couple of weeks. Maybe a couple of months before that.
Yeah, I was leaving to go meet up with them, and I worked in IT, so I got a support call from one of the remote people. So I stopped to help this guy out, which delayed me. And, I'm walking out the door and I, see what's going on TV, and I'm like, this is where I was going. So there's a piece of survivor's guilt because there's, Scott and Derek are 2 of the people that I was really close to, good friends with, that I lost that night. So there's an aspect of survivor's guilt. That's not even it. It's I literally. So if you go on YouTube and you search for Channel 12 station nightclub fire video, the funny thing is that there was a news reporter there that day that was filming, doing another story on nightclub things or whatever, and from the inside perspective, he was able to film the beginning of the fire and what happened. I probably have watched that video, and I'm not even lying, through the course of my life. I don't know off the top of my head how many years ago that was, but I had watched that video at least 80 times.
Yes, there's your mistake. You can't be just.
And I watch it, and I'm looking at this thinking, will I have had the sense to get out of there and not die?
Right.
And it's like, okay, it's going to bug me a bit. But it's something that scared me. It's something I want to know that if I was there, I would have gotten out alive. I can't accept that fate had
different plans.
Wasn't there. I need to know that if I was there, I would have gotten out.
Why do you need to know that?
I don't know. I don't know because it scares me so much.
Well, why don't you focus more on the fact that you did survive and maybe it just wasn't time?
Like my therapist says, is you can't live in the what ifs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's hard. And I'm sure all of this
it's healthier to live in the okay, this is what did happen, acknowledge it maybe, and then think of it as you were being protected by some other force and it just wasn't.
But I get it. It's hard because I do it with our son that passed away. I'm like, oh, what if he was still here? He would be this old now. What would he look like? And I do. You get caught up in it sometimes.
All I can say is God have mercy on this poor therapist I'm going to Monday.
I can somewhat understand how Dave feels because I've been in 2 extremely horrible car crashes. One was when I lived in Connecticut. I was driving my mom's car. I had this whole thing where there was a car crash before me. I was trying to get to the club. I had to take a detour. And this car crash I saw was horrible. It was parts all over the road. They closed down the entire highway where you actually had to drive off the highway to get around it. And the first one was I was coming back from the club. Long story short, I hit a tree stump, flew up, car flipped upside down, landed in someone else's driveway. Second,
now you fell asleep at work.
Yeah, that one I fell asleep because I had the heat on, which it made me very drowsy.
Yeah.
And then the second car crash I was in was not long ago, and I hydroplaned on the water, and my back tire most likely blew out. And I spun from the left lane all the way to the right and hit a guardrail. But the fact that I survived both, and I was super for a lot for you remember that for a good week, I was so shooken up about it, and I was crying because I was what would have happened if I had never gotten to see Dave again, or for the fact that I couldn't believe I only hit one car when I was spinning on the highway.
You know what? That's where my OCD comes from, where I have to say, no matter if I'm mad at him or not, I say, I love you, drive safe, and you know what I mean? No matter what, because...
I get it. Wait, I'm not done. Because it's you get into that mode of right after it happens, it's you focus so much on what could have happened if it had not gone the way that it did.
Yeah, so... that was a pivotal moment in my life that, when I saw, and I have the pictures of what his car looked like, and to basically describe it is the car had no front or back end.
Yeah.
And it gets me a little emotional. But yeah, my OCD, my anxiety, now it's I can't let him out of my sight. It's if there's one thing that is good about quarantine is that
you're both home.
I'm stuck in a house with him and I know where he is at all times because he
freaks out now even if I'm just going to the freaking right down the road to the gas station to get I don't know, chips or something because I'm hungry. He'll be drive safe. I'll be Dave.
I do the same thing with him. He'll go to Walmart and it's 2 seconds.
Yeah, but
not to make light of it, but we know how the two of you drive.
Oh, well, yeah, I won't drive.
I'm telling you.
No, my anxiety.
Know, right?
No, I'd be on Prozac if I have to drive. If I let him drive too much. But no, I mean it's literally. There's a CVS that, in all honesty, I could walk to. It is down the end of my street, then across the street. And he drives. And I'm drive safe. Be careful, drive safe. And now, of course, it's, do you have a mask? Do you have gloves? Make sure you stay away from people. So I have a bucket list now whenever he goes to the store.
I've got an answer for April. Gut hate.
No.
Because Opal says, what if she gets those what ifs? Yeah, everyone gets what ifs. But
yeah. I mean, but it's hard. And it's
after
That's one thing I've learned from my therapist is you can't stay in the what ifs.
right.
Yeah.
Like you have to look at it as if like I was lucky to have survived this incident.
Yeah,
And the
you
way
know what? My therapist is very good at that. My therapist will do, because I'll go to him and he'll say to me, how has the last 2 weeks been? And I'll say to him, well, this happened. I really cried. This was really bad. And he'll say to me, but you know what I got out of this is you made it through it. You recognize it. He points out all the positive in it. I mean, he's really, really good at that. Like he points out all the positives, like, you're really doing good. You got to, you're doing this and, you recognized it. And
Yeah. Yeah. So Opal, him walk? No, I can barely get him to walk around the block. Lucian walking.
Sometimes I'm so lazy I have
Aw.
something from the fridge because I don't want to
Oh,
get
please.
off the couch.
Please. The other day, he's sitting on the toilet and the toilet paper was on the bathroom sink. So you'd have to stand and.
Girl, no, I'm going to stand when I'm on the toilet.
Did you put the heat on?
No.
Oh, did it just kick out?
Yeah.
I gotta go that window.
No, the other day I was sitting on the couch. I was like, Dave, can you go get my charger from the bedroom?
Yeah, he does that all the time.
I do that to Jeff too. I'll be like, I don't really want to do it.
But yeah, I mean, that car, and I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures of that car. It's
I say Lucian and Jeff should start doing Uber only.
right.
If we do
Uber is cut out, right? About 17,000 people.
super fast.
Mike, where do you go?
Hmm?
You never go
What
anywhere.
do you do?
Where do you go?
What do you mean? Where do I go? I'm right here.
That's what I mean. Uber, you don't go anywhere. So anyways, so October, is there anything else you wanted to? There was a few other things you wanted to dive into, or did you hit everything that you wanted to talk to?
What did I have my little shut up.
Because I'll let you go first. I want to talk a little bit about cannabis and
and its healing properties.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I covered most like everything. Like I had some things like to tell you to do to like help you through the time. But
yeah, definitely share those if you want. You don't have to.
I have like, anybody got mala beads? Do your mala beads. Like you can do a list. Like I can post the thing. There's mantras you can do for your chakras. Go up and down your chakras, like do one a day and do your mala beads. And
is this mala beads?
Yeah, these are mala beads.
So what do you do with them?
You do. It's like to help you meditate, and you do mantras, and you go around, and there's 108 on there, so you go around and you do it 108 times.
Is each bead like a little saying?
Yep.
You literally just 108.
If you do your chakras, like your heart chakra is yam. So you just go through it and go yam, yam, yam on each bead. And it puts you in a meditative state.
That.
That's what I say when I eat a nice juicy steak.
Yeah.
Yum, yum,
Yum.
Breath work is a huge thing to do. Work on breath work. Breath work is a biggie. Stay away from negative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing I can say that I've ever learned is to stay in your own lane. Like, don't go into somebody else's lane. If somebody wants you to, if they try to drag you into their drama that's going on in their life, say to them, you know what? That's your shit. It needs to stay your shit. If you stay in your own lane, you're not going to bring any drama into your life.
Yeah.
Stay in your own lane. That's where, none of that shit happens. Stay in your own lane. Don't go into anybody else's lane.
Yeah. That makes sense, because if you already have anxiety and all this stuff, and then you're kind of taking on other anxiety, that's definitely just going to exasperate things.
And always think before, when you post something on Facebook, and like if you're doing something just to get a reaction out of somebody, my therapist teaches you before you react, take deep breaths, so then you're responding. You don't want to react, you want to respond. So that means you got to take a couple days before you get back to somebody because it's going to take you that long. So remember if you're responding or reacting, because you don't reacting, you're going to say something you're not going to be able to take back.
Yeah. Been trying to do that recently. Yeah. Facebook has been not the group page, but my personal Facebook has been not a very positive influence on my life since quarantine started.
Yeah, just think about what you're posting. And if you're posting it just to get a reaction out of somebody, don't post it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just leave it.
Is that why you yell at me all the time?
Oh, you have no idea. I feel like I have a child. I police his thing.
That's
Like today, I went outside and I had to go stand outside. So I took his pants needed to be shook out because they had dirt all over them from work. I had to take his pants outside because I needed to ground myself after we talked at lunchtime because we got into politics. And he was like, you know what, really? And he's like, I thought we weren't going to do that anymore.
Yep, but that doesn't help my anxiety, let me tell you. Oh, man.
You know what's a really good thing? A let go box. If you're feeling guilty or if you're upset about something, if you write something down, it gets it out of your system. Write it, put it in that box and forget about it. And then if you can, like I don't have the option, burn them. Once the box gets full, take it outside and burn them and just be done with it.
You
gotta let it out to let it go. If you hold it in, like in breath work, when you exhale in, it's a contraction. So if somebody does something and you're like, and then you never let that back out, that's a contraction. That will get your anxiety going. That will send you into a panic attack. You got to go in and then you got to go and just let it out. So write it down and let it go.
I really like that idea of the negativity box, or wait, what did you call it again?
The let it go box.
Let it go box. I like that idea because it's like you're taking all of your issues and whatever you're feeling and you're putting it in that box for you only, and you're not like releasing that out for everyone else to create like that ripple effect.
Yeah, so if you get into a fight with somebody, instead of lashing out at them and like saying stuff that you can't, because once you say words, they're out there. You can never take them back. You can never take them. And I can guarantee you, if you say something to somebody in the heat of the moment, you're going to say something you can never take back. And that could end it for you. So just write it down and just put it in that box and just forget about it. Just let it go.
Yeah, because it's like there have been times when I'll admit I've said things that I've automatically regretted after saying. And then I remember my mom telling me one time that it's best to write it down, read it a few times, and think to yourself as you're reading it, if you were on the other end, how would you react? And if you're sending that out, would you actually want to send it out then and there? If you aren't quite sure if you're wanting to send it out to that person, then just don't.
Yeah.
The other thing you can think too is if this won't bother me in 5 years, if I wait 5 minutes, it won't bother me then either.
Right. Because when you think of the grand scheme of everything, a lot of our issues are very trivial and they're very kind of like at that moment.
Yeah.
Me and you just had it yesterday, did we not, Lucian? But I couldn't find the right way to say it.
Yeah.
So I avoided it, which on my part was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Because then it let you think of all these things, and it was really
thinking like, oh my God, she hates me. Like, what did I do? I was so.
And then once we got it out and it was said, you know what I mean? Everybody, you know what I mean? Because it really had nothing to do with the two of us, but it was, you know what I mean?
Right.
But once it was said, we felt better.
Yeah.
But now using that as an example, the ADHD, anxiety-laden individual that I am, you guys have your little spat, and I go into anxiety mode. And it's like, because a lot of times I don't know what's going on because I don't like babysit his social media. But that one I did.
Go to bed.
And I'm like in anxiety mode. I'm like, Lucian, apologize to April, October. What did you do? What did
Constant question.
He does the same thing because he'll say to me, "Up, here we go again," and I'm like, "Shut up." And then he's like, you two are going to be talking later on anyways. He's like, "So just get it over with."
Yeah,
It's exactly what he says.
yeah.
He always goes, just give it time. She probably needs her space. You two are going to probably laugh about it later.
Yeah.
I think it's just because we're so much alike. It's just.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's
He
like,
does it to me. Like, really?
that's why at first I was like, you know what? She's not talking to me. That's okay. She needs her space. And I know because you're the exact mirror image of me. When I get upset about something, I usually need to calm down before I go back and talk about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And did I not apologize and say it was wrong for me not to, that we should have just.
If she never apologizes to me for her mistake.
Oh, he doesn't apologize to me either. I'm always wrong too, so don't feel bad.
Who says they were mistakes?
The marriage certificate.
That's why I keep them under lock and key in the safe.
Yeah.
But I like some of these ideas to deal with some of these things. Ideas. He makes fun of me all the time. You want
What are these ideas?
ideas?
You
Stop.
said ideas.
I said ideas. It's my Rhode Island accent. Leave it alone. So what other things? I'm going to say non-medication because I just had bad. I just medications. I've been on the different medications. Aunt Jemima says, "Let it go box" reminds me of the idea when someone is upset and can't get over because of a death of the family member or a friend. They write a letter. Oh, mark their name on the envelope and put it in the box. Yeah, I've heard of that.
I've never heard of that. Yeah. But yeah, it's on the same line. If something's upsetting you to that point, instead of holding that anger in, write it down on a piece of paper like you were letting them have it and just put it in that box and let it go.
Explaining the feelings. I have a bit of that with both parents because both of my parents died within a fairly short time. And there's a whole backstory to that I'm not even going to get into.
My parents died 3 months apart.
Yeah.
Within 5 months? I lost my son, my father, and my mother. I lost my son and my father within 3 weeks.
Wow. That's crazy.
But that's a good idea, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was just reading Marge's comment. She goes, "I love ideas." And when people say ideals at the wrong time, though.
Mm-hmm. Let it go. I got sunflower seeds. Sorry.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go.
Oh, guys, spit the seed out. I love sunflower seeds. So, any other ideas? Any other good tips and tricks for dealing with this? Before I get into, I want to talk about this Leafly article, which I will post on the site.
I think I'm good. We can move on.
All right, so I'm going to talk about because I am a big advocate of cannabis and in regulating mood and some of these things. So I'm going to read this article. When I first began using, and wait a minute, the title of it is "How to Use Cannabis for Anxiety." When I first began using cannabis almost a decade ago, this is the article, I found it worked wonders for my anxiety. Back then, it didn't really matter which strain I was smoking. Cannabis almost always helped, regardless of setting, dose, or strain. But as I got older, things got more complicated. I began to notice that certain strains made me more anxious than others. High doses made me paranoid. Using cannabis with unfamiliar people or in unfamiliar places almost always made me hypervigilant, self-conscious, and on edge. Instead of taking multiple bong rips of potent strains, like Original Glue, these are just examples, I move towards strains with equal levels of THC and CBD. And taking just a few hits off a bubbler, smaller amounts. I found 5 milligram THC edibles to be far better experience than one with 10 to 20 milligrams. And instead of making and baking with high THC flower, I start my day with a CBD tincture. Cannabis is complicated, and so is anxiety. Your ideal strain, product dose, and regimen may not look like mine. And you should expect your relationship with cannabis to be an relationship with cannabis as an anti-anxiety medicine to shift over the years. Anxiety evolves and changes, and so might how you treat it. There are so many different types of anxiety, and cannabis may affect each differently. And there's a guide that might help you, which I will post on the Facebook group. But my personal experience is, when talking about cannabis, so I think of it as a quadrant. There are four components to cannabis. And that components isn't the right word, but whatever. You've got THC and you've got CBD. And then you get types of cannabis, which is sativa versus indica. All of those four components affect its effect on you. THC is the part that gets you euphoric or high. CBD is what relaxes and doesn't give you that euphoria. Okay, Opal, thank you. Have a good night. And so that's THC and CBD. Now set that aside. Into sativa. Sativa is the head high, and that's the one that gets you really paranoid. Whereas indica is a lot like mugwort. It gives your body high and relaxes you. So I'm a big advocate of CBD. I always keep CBD gummies.
Not getting
So for my anxiety, so that's kind of what I've done, self-diagnosed. And of course, my approach to cannabis is more like a wine connoisseur as their approach to wine. I study each strain. Like when I'm going to go to the dispensary, I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, okay. And I go to Leafly and I'm like, okay, this has this effect, this has that. And I scientifically approach it. And would be my recommendation if you're ever going to use, and if you got the card, obviously the thing with getting the card for medical is they don't really tell you, the doctors I don't know if they really tell you to get into strains and stuff like that. They're like, okay, cannabis will help your PTSD. Here's your card, go to the dispensary. It's good to take the time, have a conversation with the bud tenders there because they know the product, and download the Leafly app and look at how, because they have nice little graphs on there to tell you what it's going to make you feel like. And approach this, and this is what I do, I approach it scientifically. Now, I'll give you guys an example, see if I can show it. Let's load Leafly. There it is. Let's see if I can pull up my last search. No. Okay. Let's say GURIL. Why doesn't it have Gorilla Glue in there? All right. TRIN. No, hold on. Let me look it up. Blue Dream. So, Blue Dream is one that I use quite often. And I want to try to show you how they put a little graph, and this camera sucks. Yeah, the camera kind of sucks. but it goes down the list. Happy, as the top one with the most, it tells you how it's going to feel. Happy, euphoric, relaxed, uplifted, and creative. That's the feelings. Then it'll say helps with stress, anxiety, depression, pain, and insomnia. It's one of my favorite strains. And of course, it'll give you the negatives. And you'll notice, I can show you, but you can't see the words. But the very bottom one, that little green spot, that's anxiety. So it's very low. So you know that this particular strain is going to target your symptoms. It's not going to make you angry, because you don't want to be taking something that's going to make
have little effect on your anxiety.
Exactly. It's a very scientific approach. And it says, okay, so the negatives are dry mouth, dry eyes, and then the bottom ones are paranoid and anxious. So those are down on the list. So it's very effective in that when you take a scientific approach to it. And that's what I do. And the thing is, through the years, like I said, I've talked about being on Ritalin, and it making me like a zombie, trying Adderall, and thinking I was having a heart attack. So, and I've never been a big over-the-counter medication person. I believe the free use of, the overuse of prescription medications is why, we have an opioid crisis, because we overuse pain. I had, since I've lived in this house, I've had 2 major surgeries, both hernia repairs, because when I was a kid, one of the few times I almost died was when my appendix ruptured. And I told you this story, October. When I was, I think I was just in college. I was 21, 22. And, I was rushed to the hospital, barely conscious, severely out because my appendix fully burst and I kind of got septic. Anyways, I don't know. I'm squirreling, but 2 of the incision sites that I had from the surgery herniated. What I'm trying to get at is, you go for surgery, they repaired it, yada, yada, yada. They're sending you home with Vicodins and Percocets and this is I took those bottles right in the garbage. And when I was in pain, I smoked weed. And, my neighbor, who was a great help in my life when I was going through my first surgery, I started smoking weed kind of because of her, because she had fibromyalgia and got, put on cannabis for fibromyalgia, but felt kind of funny smoking by herself. So I became her smoking buddy. And
that's awesome.
This is me trying to help. But yeah, when I got home, I was, of course, I lived by myself. Lucian wasn't here. She, she helped me get the prescription filled. And I'm like, I'm not taking this. It's like, I'll sit here and suffer. So she got me some cannabis, and, I would smoke that when I was in pain, and it was great. Because I don't have an addictive personality to begin with, but, because I've smoked tobacco, I've smoked all kinds, I've never done any hard drugs, but I never get addicted. I didn't want to take these opioids and stuff like that. That's how I started getting in. I noticed how it was making me feel, even with the anxiety and all this other stuff. Very interesting. Gypsy,
because me and my psychiatrist are discussing, because my PTSD can't get it's not treatable with medication. They can't treat my PTSD with medication because it's just not effective.
Yeah.
So she was saying that to treat PTSD, one of the biggest things they do is cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Gypsy says, she had You thought that I had the same thing, that her heart was going to explode. Yeah, that's basically, I couldn't take Adderall. Because I literally was going to thought I was going to keel over and
yeah, see, it doesn't bother my heart like that anymore. I mean, I've been on it for a little bit now. I've been on it for what, like a year and a half now. So I don't know if like my body's used to it. Like I half the time I don't think it's doing anything anyway. He says differently, but
yeah, I don't know. I couldn't take it. Gypsy says it's just Gypsy Day on here. I love her posts, comments. I figured out that I prefer indica and high THC and high CBD. So you're looking at 18 to 20% THC and 14 to 60% CBD. That is from when I had access to specific. Yeah, no card in Florida. I get that. Yeah, absolutely. So indica typically is higher THC, believe it or not. But because of the strain of the plant, it affects you in a more subdued way. I think they do typically have higher CBD as well. But yeah, and it's a big experimentation. To just,
I can tell you, when I do mugwort or wormwood, I sleep like through the night, like without any interruptions. And when I don't, because I take the Adderall in the morning and I take Klonopin at night.
Yeah.
And I sleep like shit.
Yeah.
That's something. I'm up in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm on Facebook and I'm like, I sleep for shit. But when I do that, I sleep right through the night.
Yep. Well, add that to my list as I literally have insomnia. So, and this is cannabis, another big help for that. Let me see. I got to go on to health. So I use this app, and I didn't wear my Apple Watch. Oh, what are you doing? I've been not wearing my Apple Watch. So again, I can't show things, but that's a graph of my sleep. See those big orange? That's me up at night.
Yeah.
And see how much sleep I get? 4 hours and 29 minutes. Yeah. There are nights, like my average sleep time is I can pick any day that has data, that is. And that was a good day. On the days I don't smoke, it's like, yeah, let's pull this one.
3 hours.
Yeah. So you're lucky sometimes if I get even that.
Yeah.
I'm like, horrible. He'll like roll over and be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing.
The only reason why I get higher numbers is because I smoke weed mostly every night. Can you imagine 3 hours? Can you imagine nights? There are nights that, like, when I don't smoke or before I, now when I say I smoke nightly, I'll take like this one hitter.
She's interested in mugwort. I'm telling you, because I'm gonna bet you she's got PTSD, and from what I've been told from my therapist and stuff, PTSD is the reason why you don't sleep well at night. But I'm telling you, I do that stuff or wormwood, and I'm telling you, I am out. Like, I go to sleep and I don't like wake up till like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like crazy.
Interesting. So what would it
when I did it before the thing? Like, when I went to bed, I was like out, and I slept so good, and I never get that.
So what would it take to have, like, what's the cause for PTSD? I haven't really gave PTSD much thought.
It's post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's from traumas in your life. Like, I have complex because I have multiple, and I have a long periods of time from trauma.
Okay.
So mine, they've tried multiple medications, and mine does not. My body doesn't react to the medicine. Yep. So that's why she was like, we really need to talk about, maybe trying cannabis. I told her, because I don't lie to them. I tell them the truth. And I told them that I was doing mugwort and wormwood. And she was like, oh, I'm going to have to look this up. She's like, maybe I need to start telling my patients about this.
Yeah. Yeah, because I tried
Yeah, she has complex. Yeah. No, I don't smoke it. I inhale it up my nose. I snort it up my nose.
So you put it on a charcoal disc.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't like the smell of it on the charcoal disc, so I just put it in a ceramic little bowl, and I kind of do like you do. I just light it on fire, get that smoke really going, and then I just go one nostril at a time, and I inhale.
Over the fire. Oh, okay.
Burn your nose a little bit. It burns a little bit, but you just and you blow that smoke out, so it like. But it actually gets into the membranes in your nose, and it gets right into your system.
Oh, I haven't tried that. Like when I tried mugwort, I smoked it with one of my pot pipes over here.
Really?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But yeah. So again, I want to so wow, we've been an hour and 45 minutes. Does anybody else in the chat have any questions for us? And any questions you want to ask, just type them in. We'll do a little bit of question time because we've been on for almost 2 hours.
Holy cow.
Oh my God. Marge says I'm listening, love LSD. Oh, I've never done anything hot, anything
awesome. I want to hear how it goes, Gypsy.
Oh,
you'll have to message me and let me know.
Yeah. I love using mugwort and wormwood.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, I've used mugwort, and I feel the effects. It's cannabis is stronger, so I'm curious.
I'm gonna imagine it must. Yeah,
I'm curious how, but I didn't try the up the nose method, so I'm not sure. But I'm curious about Gypsy's. Yeah, definitely let us know, because I'm curious how what your thoughts on it. All right, so hour and 46 minutes. I don't see any questions. Again, I'll post a bunch of this stuff on the Facebook group. Again, keep those numbers handy, especially the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or Lifeline.
Yeah.
Because there is help out there. Don't be afraid to seek help, because you're not alone. That's the thing, is we need to realize that we're not alone, which is the purpose of this live. Is that
conversation going?
We got a conversation going. We all have our issues, right? We've got our list, and we've got our lists, and we're not alone out there.
Oh, right now.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks for joining.
Yes. Be safe, everybody.
Be safe, definitely. Oh, what? Oh, you want to do your video? We got to do the video. We got to do the video before we end.
Oh, wait. Here's a question. Anyone know how to make
what question?
The 3 bean salad.
Anyone know how to make simple
dressing for a 3 bean salad? I don't know. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't even know how to make a 3 bean salad. What's a 3 bean salad?
A salad that has 3 beans.
Is it a salad made with
3 beans, but like 3 kinds of beans?
It's 3 whole beans. You get 3 whole beans. Anyways, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye.